You may or may not have heard there's a refugee crisis in Europe.
We're talking about the refugee crisis in Europe.
The continent's migration crisis.
We've seen Europe's refugee crisis explode.
Biggest refugee crisis facing Europe since the Second World War.
But wait, there are a staggering 21.3 million refugees around the world today. And sure, 1.3 million of them live in the European Union, plus hundreds of thousands more are applying for asylum there. But is it really Europe that's bearing the brunt of that crisis? Maybe we should stop navel-gazing and look across the continent of Africa. Unlike in richer and more peaceful Europe, refugees in Africa are fleeing from one war-torn region to the next. From Nigeria to Chad, from South Sudan to Darfur. Yes, to Darfur. From Democratic Republic of Congo to the Central African Republic, and from CAR to DRC. It's not just an intra-African movement of people either. Djibouti in the Horn of Africa is hosting more than 15,000 refugees from war-torn Yemen in the Middle East. Here's the thing though, in sub-Saharan Africa alone there are more than 4 million refugees and a total of 19.5 million people who are of concern to the UNHCR. But you don't often hear about them, do you? I mean, how many of us are even aware of what's happening at Kenya's Dadaab camp? It's the largest refugee camp in the world, but in a move that could displace around 300,000 people, Kenyan authorities are in the process of shutting it down. Or compare Danish authorities wanting to seize the jewellery of asylum seekers, supposedly in order to pay for their upkeep, with Uganda's 2006 Refugee Act, which allows refugees in that country to work, travel and even start their own businesses. Bear in mind that Denmark's GDP per capita is almost 100 times bigger than that of Uganda's. So what's all the fuss and panic about in the EU? Maybe it's the huge economic burden those refugees present. Oh. Well, maybe it's all those crimes they're committing. Oh. Well, then maybe it's time we ask what it means if we hear only about a refugee crisis in the EU rather than in Africa. Or is a crisis only a crisis when it washes up on the shores of Europe?